This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. We're looking at the Friday DraftKings 9-game main slate here. We got a late one, too. They gave us all the way to the 10 p.m. game. Golden State, Detroit. Grande, yeah, nothing major happened today, right? News-wise, nothing surprising. Nothing.
Sabonis
sold us last night. He did sell us. That is
true.
Well,
Sabonis is also out today.
Sabonis is out today. That is true. Nothing else, though, right? Nothing major.
Nurkic out. Westbrook out. Michael Porter out, which we predicted. JB, we predicted out.
Yeah.
Middleton, we kind of missed in the show, but never plays a back-to-back.
Yeah.
I would say the Nurkic downgrade, the Westbrook downgrade, and the Sabonis downgrade to out were the three things that probably mattered the most. Yeah, I mean, MPJ, like that game in general is very interesting because it's two terrible teams with like a bunch of pieces missing, and there's still not a lot of implied points and deep rotation. So there is that one player. Yeah, there is that one guy.
Just plans to return.
I mean, I think I said this to you. I tweeted it, and I wholeheartedly believe this. If Nikola Jokic gets hurt, they will get rid of the 65-game rule for awards. I bet. Now, I hope it doesn't happen. So we'll have the 65-game rule. But in Sham's tweet, he literally specified can still qualify for awards.
Yeah.
If he doesn't miss any more time. We saw this with Halliburton a couple years ago when he came back and he re-aggravated and his season was ruined.
The hamstring.
This was pre finals run season, but like we will see. Yes.
So 3 days ago they said he'd be reevaluated in a week. So then 2 days later he's on the floor. So
anyway,
I
don't know.
We'll see how many minutes I guess he plays. But Jokic, Luka Doncic, and Cade Cunningham up over $10,000, as is Jamal Murray. Cade, Luka, and Jokic all with tags, but Jokic expect to play. Cade, I think, also expect to play, right? Just a probable.
Yeah, probable.
So, again, we do appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit us that like, share, and subscribe button. We'll have our best bets out there, Greg. I know you're looking for it. I'll have all my bets in the bet tracker after today's show. We are on a nice little heater right here, 18-6 over the last 4 days in the NBA. Making some money for you guys here.
Bow down to the man. 18-6.
We were really close. I mean, really close in quotations here. But Sabonis foul trouble, Rollins foul trouble last night were the two we missed.
And Jalen Smith, and you were 1 point away from cashing a Jalen Smith prop that obviously got voided, but he didn't play a second half.
Didn't play the second half, yeah. So we'll keep rocking with it. And we'll get some winning picks in the bet tracker for you guys here after the show today. Honestly, it's kind of been a tough day for props because the usual, if you look at my record, I kind of just attack the same guys over and over again because the books don't make any adjustments. But like Donovan Clingan and Mitchell Robinson are going up against each other today. So it's like, do they take away their rebounds? Things like that. So we'll break it all down. We'll go through it for you guys. Luka, Cade, Murray up over $10,000. How much does Jokic play today? Are you expecting him just to roll in 35 minutes? Did they say, like, what are we thinking, and how's it going to impact your thoughts on Murray now?
There's no way Jokic plays full. He hasn't played in a month. It's been almost a month. So whatever the number is impacts everybody around him, right? We have to get 50 fantasy points for a baseline. Not to say Jamal Murray could not. Nope. It's just not a need. I would say Luka is the guy that stands out the most here, and we'll know if Luka Doncic is gonna play, because they are the standalone island 7 p.m. game. So I do think Luka looks good at 11-9. Obviously, Austin Reeves potentially returning here, but it doesn't really matter when you're factoring in, 29th in defense, 6th in pace, so great pace spot for the Lakers. And on the year, just baseline numbers, Luka has a 38% usage and 1.6 fantasy points per minute. Also, John, we didn't mention, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, thank you to everyone who commented on the show. We had a bajillion comments.
We did.
And I honestly closer than usual, but still position by position, still won.
Yeah.
But the gap is closing. By the way,
you know what? As we get more people watching the show, more people have different opinions.
Right.
So,
right.
Which is great for us. I like more people watching and therefore having more opinions.
I agree.
Position by position did again win out here. So we'll keep rolling and we'll just check back in again later in the year. See if you guys have a different feeling. All right. So wait on Luka. Cade versus Golden State 10-3.
Always can play Cade.
No one's spending. Well, Luka's over 20%. He is the spend up if he plays here. Other than that, it's kind of like the mid range for today. Obviously, the Celtics cards with Jaylen Brown not going to play tonight. Pritchard and White up over 30%. Dennis Schroeder all the way down for value today, around 25%. Yegor is over 20%. So not a lot of love sort of for this mid range group outside of the Celtics cards. What are your thoughts on like a Jalen Brunson or a Keontae George or something like that tonight?
I don't want to go past Curry. I think Steph would be is in play. It's a GPP play specific. I listed that in the playbook today. You guys can find at fantasyalarm.com. If you are subscribers to the website. Dude, no Butler, no Kuminga. It's hard to just exclude a 34% usage, 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Gets the Pistons second leg of a back-to-back. So I think there's a ceiling with Steph. Okay. I do think that the mid-tier is very interesting if no one's going to live here. I mean, Keontae George would be the guy that I immediately gravitate to. He typically does play better with Yusuf Nurkic for what that's worth. But this is a guy that we have seen score 40 actual points in a game. This is a guy that has constantly flirted with double-doubles and played big minutes, has a bottom 5 defense on the second leg of a back-to-back. I really like Keontae. No Markkanen, no Nurkic matters quite a bit. I mean, he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Without those players, 30% usage this year. So... or just under 30. So I like Keontae quite a bit. The Trey Murphy one, I kind of like was taken aback by the positional eligibility until I looked at the Pelicans starting lineup, and I completely kind of forgot that they moved her back into the starting lineup.
Yeah, and
took Fears off the floor. Fears is coming off the bench. So I guess by default, Trey Murphy is playing point guard because they're doing Zion and Derek Queen are probably handling the ball more than Trey Murphy, but Murphy has a great ceiling. Dude, he just shot 3 of 20 last game. Guess what? No, it's the Thunder. Like, that happens. So I think Trey Murphy has a really high ceiling, especially if there are more ball handling duties for him, with him just kind of taking over as the lead guard. So yeah, I do find it kind of interesting if no one's going to live there. And not to say anything bad about the Celtics guys. They look great. Like, you can obviously play Derek White. 32% usage, 8% usage bump without JB. Peyton Pritchard, 1.26 fantasy points per minute, leads the team without JB. 28.6% usage, leads second on the team. So, yeah, I think the Celtics guys obviously look great. I also think you can... look at that mid-tier and be like, I can get the same production, if not more, out of those players.
Sure. Any thoughts on like Suggs, who got up to 29 minutes and finally made shots the other day? You have Spencer here at $6,100 as well. It sort of pivots off Pritchard, or are you just kind of playing Pritchard and moving down to the value?
Yeah, I mean, I think Pritchard, more than anybody on Boston, to me today, has been the guy that I've gravitated to the most. This is a top 3 isolation scorer in the league against a team who allows a lot of points at the rim. And that is always good for isolation players who just Peyton Pritchard has gotten downhill a lot. And is obviously just playing extremely well and all the numbers. So I don't think Suggs would be a pivot. I think honestly, like if I were pivoting, it would probably be up and not down, like to the guys we mentioned.
Sure.
I do have some interest in like Spencer because I don't like it's hard. It's a GPP play, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's again, you can't just judge somebody on one bad game, right? He plays one bad game. He goes 1 for 8 from the floor. The game before that, just to give you like, show you the upside. I mean, he was 1 for 5 from the floor and had 33 fantasy points because he is so good everywhere. And this is just a dream spot for 3-point shooters. Cam Spencer, oh, by the way, John, 44.5% from 3 this year.
Yeah.
It's a good number. Great. Yeah. That would be like the best shooter ever if he ended his career as a 44.5% shooter. So I do think Cam Spencer is interesting for sure. And I'm not letting one bad game dictate my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Look at this guy, dude. Gifted another sub. Shout out to Marty.
Marty,
sub. Send a thank you to Justin.
Oh, now we got 5 more. Here we go.
Okay,
gifting 5 subs.
We're just a baller, dude. I don't know.
Got one.
Did you see? I see 3 who played Dylan Brooks last night.
I saw his lineup. Dude.
I see 3 who had a Dylan Brooks lineup last night. So yeah.
Blake, the Real Spill, Jay Smooth, the OMG Father, Fossil, all now members for the family here.
Welcome to the family, Justin. Thank you, dude.
Always appreciate you popping in here, helping us out. Always in the Discord, dropping knowledge, showing lines. It's a huge add here to the family. All right. Are you buying into the Brooklyn? Like again, Agor's getting a little bit of love here, 20%. Simons is right there. I know you talked about pivoting down and playing Anthony Simons. Dennis Schroeder, 25% at $5,100. So kind of that low 5K, upper 4K range.
Yeah. Before we get there, I think there's plays before we get there. Isaiah Collier, 58. The minutes have been really good. They're shorthanded. Could potentially be even more shorthanded if Cody Williams sits. I think 28 to 30 minutes is in the range of outcomes. Just a good player, just good when he gets extended minutes. So I like Collier. And Utah was getting a lot of ownership earlier today. Collier was not. I think that we'll talk about a teammate of his that's going to get a lot more ownership at a similar price shortly. And I think he's a pivot off that player. I think Bub at 56 with Trey Johnson out and Chris Middleton is in play. He played 18 and a half minutes yesterday in the second half, which is a lot of minutes. And if you're projecting that out, that's 37 minutes for both halves, which we've seen. When Bub Carrington starts, he plays upper 30s minutes. I really like the spot against the Lakers. I really like Bub in tournaments. No Trey, no Middleton. We know they're just down a bunch of players. So I think Bub, before we get down to those other guys, Bub and Collier are interesting. Yes, on Schroeder. I do think the one caveat today is that Malik Monk is available. And I do think, like, if Schroeder is not playing as well as he did yesterday, those minutes could potentially go to Monk. We've seen the Kings this year use Malik Monk as their primary point guard, and he's talked to the media about it. He is more than willing to do that. So I'm good with Schroeder. I don't think it's as surefire as it was yesterday, but I could absolutely see him play 30 minutes again. Yegor Dioman is fine. I mean, the problem today for Brooklyn isn't point guard. The point guard isn't the guys that are out, right? Like, they have a lot of those. They have Triori. They have Serif. Those players are still available. Yeah. Still available, excuse me. So I'm like very indifferent about playing Yegor. If you ever, and I thought I finally was like, I thought we were finally past like the benchings, and then he was benched for like 4 straight games in a row where he barely played. So, in a tournament, I it's fine. Anthony Simons looks great. I think he is definitely a pivot away from one of the top priced Celtics. Not that he's like not getting ownership, but he's significantly lesser owned than both Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. So in a situation now that you're getting a sub 5K Anthony Simons with a 28% usage and he's a fantasy point per minute player, I'm willing to just bank on Simons getting me 8x versus Derek White. Like if Derek White gets 40 fantasy points tonight and Anthony Simons goes for like 35 and I go Simons Pritchard, I feel really good about beating out the field that plays Derek White. Or if I prefer Derek White to Pritchard. But I do think that there's merit because obviously Derek White's over 30%, Peyton Pritchard's right around it. A lot of lineups are just clicking White, Pritchard, moving on.
Yeah.
And while I think that's very okay, Anthony Simons is a microwave scorer that could just put a wrench in those plans, right?
Yeah.
So
you're getting a 50% ownership decrease playing Simons off of one of Pritchard White.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and that is a way to. It might absolutely, you might know in the first 5 minutes that blows up in your face. Derek White comes down, 3 threes, 3 rebounds to steal, and you're like, oh.
And then Joe Mazzulla attacks Inugo over Anthony Simons.
Yeah, yeah. Simon starts 0 for 4 with a turnover, and he's like, he doesn't play again. So 100%. This is a spot against the Kings. I'm willing to test out the microwave scoring of Anthony Simons.
Sure. All right, going on over to shooting guard position then. Donovan Mitchell is your top price guy here, $9,900. He's only around 15%. A lot of the guys who you touched on have dual positional eligibility, are getting the ownership at shooting guard as well. So that leaves you with like Mitchell, Ingram, maybe Reeves, Shaedon Sharpe, guys like that, where no one's really going to today.
Yeah, I mean, Donovan Mitchell without Evan Mobley and Darius Garland is like incredibly elite. 38% usage rate. 5% increase on the year, 1.5 fantasy points per minute. Donovan Mitchell is just one of the most talented scorers in the NBA. You've just seen that against Orlando in a game that Jalen Suggs played. 45 actual points. I mean, Phoenix is not a good spot, but it is a second leg of a back-to-back, and Donovan Mitchell is just one of those guys that is impossible to slow down at times. So, yeah, I always have interest in Mitchell, but I don't really have interest in Ingram. You can always play him in a tournament. Definitely not playing Reeves because we know that there's going to be a limit, and don't really care for Shaedon unless Denny didn't play. I expect Denny to play, but if Denny didn't play, then I guess we'll revisit our Shaedon conversation. Derek White and Keyshawn George are the two guys that I want to talk about.
Okay. Well, talk about White first then, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is the leader on the team without JB in usage, 32%. He leads them in usage increase, 8.5%, 1.2 fantasy points per minute, 28th ranked defense. Like, there's nothing bad to say about Derek White. He's just 7,700 compared to what his teammates are, right? His teammate, the rest of his team are significantly cheaper. So if you're just looking to save money, Peyton Pritchard and Anthony Simons is the route to go. Derek White also can get you 60 fantasy points tonight, and that would be not shocking in any capacity. So I understand why the ownership is where it is. I do think that there is some merit to pivoting to Keyshawn George. Like if you're looking at Derek White versus Keyshawn George, I mean, kind of like shorthanded Washington team. The spot isn't necessarily much different. Obviously, Washington has to keep the game competitive. That's the issue here. But but they've been doing that much better, and it's largely because of how well Keyshawn George and Alex Sarr have played. I mean, 37 plus fantasy points in 6 straight games. It's a 27% use on the floor / traded. And he just does what he does. He leads them in assist percentage amongst the guys that are playing tonight. He's up there in rebounds. Dude, he does everything. Yeah. And he's doing it. We said it all along. He does everything. And then when he makes shots, I mean, he had 10 made shots last night. Not that he shot a good percentage.
Nope.
He makes shots. There is a ceiling. And like, so I think there's probably room for points in this matchup against the Lakers. So I think Keyshawn looks great. We had a question about him at some point. You've completely ignored the chat and you don't want to talk to any of them, so it's okay.
I haven't seen anything after the
I'm just kidding.
Casey right here. I got Casey asked about Keyshawn George. We just weren't at the position yet.
Casey on YouTube, by the way. Shout out to Casey for
back-to-back days.
He's officially. I feel so bad. I don't want to get yelled at. Yeah, we bullied him. We bullied him
here. We bullied him to the YouTube page.
We do not promote bullying, but Casey, we apologize for doing so to get you onto the YouTube.
But yeah, we're obviously in on Keyshawn there.
Yes.
Other mid-range for you guys, if you're going down, we did have the Josh Hart question. He is getting around 20% ownership here as well. Sensabaugh is like 12%, and then it's again all the value guys, basically 5K and under. Anybody in between that you'd be interested in, whether it's Grayson Allen, Desmond Bain, Anthony Black, Levine, Tyson, Coward, anything there for you?
Dude, it's so interesting how you read names off of the list. Okay. It's always so interesting to me. Okay. You're like the movie Jumper. Shout out, great movie, by the way.
Sure.
I would say Tyson is probably the guy who's not going to get a lot of ownership. 1.1 fantasy points per minute, 23% usage without Mobley and Garland. The minutes are going to be absolutely mid-30s potentially. We don't know. DeAndre Hunter could be traded tonight. I don't know if you've seen. They're in the middle of a trade, working a trade package with the Lakers.
Sure.
So just more minutes to potentially be had for Tyson tonight. We could see we're on DeAndre Hunter hug watch. Yeah, for sure. So probably Tyson in between. I like Josh Hart for sure. I have nothing bad to say about Josh Hart. He is always what he is. When he makes shots, he is going to get he's going to put up a ceiling performance. And if he doesn't score, we get high 20s fantasy points. That's typically what it settles into. So I have nothing bad to say. We know that he can get 40 fantasy points if he makes shots. The Sensabaugh one is interesting. No Markkanen, no Nurkic. They need scoring. He's played a good role. I have nothing bad to say, like 28% usage rate over a fantasy point per minute.
Yep.
If there's no what's his face? I'm blanking. Cody Williams. I don't think he's going to start, but I guess there's a world where he does. It'd probably be Collier over him, but he's still going to get mid to high 20s minutes, possibly 30 if he's really cooking. So I'd be okay with Sensabaugh. Same thing about Coward, like great spot. Not going to let one bad game. It wasn't even bad. They just got blown out.
Yeah.
Like kind of
7 minutes again, kind of the usual spot there.
The minutes were, and he lost minutes. They all lost minutes at the end of the game due to blowout. Like he was approaching 30 again. So, yeah, that's probably it. Sure. Yeah, that's probably it. Value
tier again. A lot of guys with dual positional eligibility here. That we've kind of hit on. Terrence Mann is up over 20%. We talked Simons already. Herb Jones getting a little bit of love. Drake Powell getting a little bit as well. Baylor Shireman's 9%.
Cam Thomas getting 22%.
Yeah, Cam Thomas as well for value play. Thoughts on the Brooklyn side?
Yeah, I mean, it's gross. It's disgusting. I hate it. And but it just kind of has to be talked about. They ruled out their best player. Michael Porter Jr. out. Noah Clowney, arguably their second best player or third best player.
Yeah.
Zaire Williams in their rotation. He's out. So they're down 3 rotation pieces. Cam Thomas's price has not been this cheap this year. I would assume mid-20s minutes. I don't know what the minutes are going to be. I don't know how much he cares to be in Brooklyn. If there was ever a spot that Cam Thomas was going to go nuclear in, it's this one. It's the 30th ranked defense. They're the second fastest playing team in the NBA. Brooklyn's 29th. This would be the Cam Thomas spot of all Cam Thomas spots. So I do have interest at 4,600. I do have some Terrence Mann interest at 3,900. 29 and 30 minutes in the last 2 games since re-entering the rotation. He's going to start. It's a pretty good. Now, if he doesn't start, we move.
Abort.
Yeah, we abort, because then we're talking DMP risk. But if I assume he's going to start, and if he's starting, I definitely have interest. I think you said Drake Powell.
Yeah, 10% for Powell.
I think he is an awful he is super athletic and good defensively. He has no clue what he's doing offensively. So if you told me he was playing 48 minutes tonight, I'd consider it, but
okay.
That's probably the only scenario. And besides that, Herb's okay, as you mentioned. Nothing else really to hear for me.
I don't mind the Merrill dart every now and then. Small forward, you have Denny here, Kawhi 93, your top 2 price plays, and it drops down. Do you have a preference between the two if they're assuming both active?
Probably Denny. They have been pretty cautious with Kawhi because it's been 2 injuries back to back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd expect them to continue to kind of be cautious. Not to say he can't go crazy, but I think I'd prefer Denny of the 2.
Okay. You work your way down. DDR, $7,600. Watson, but Jokic is back. Grayson, Todd Tyson, Dylan Brooks coming off the nuclear game that he had. Thoughts here on this mid-range?
Not a lot of thoughts. We talked Tyson, Brooks, so you can obviously play. Guy has a massive usage rate. The wrinkle today is that Jalen Green's available.
Yeah.
So, that is something. Honestly, it's probably Sadiq Bey if we're being honest. Now, we kind of joked, not at the question, not that it was a bad question.
Mm-hmm.
But Anthony asked this last game, will Sadiq Bey score 40 fantasy points again? And it's very hard to predict someone doing that against OKC the way that he did it.
Yeah.
Look at the time that Trey Murphy had, right? They obviously decided on who they were going to let beat them versus who they weren't.
Sure.
And Sadiq went 4 of 16 from the floor, so he didn't necessarily shoot well. He is starting. He is going to play 30 minutes. He is a fantasy point per minute player. It is in the spot is so good. I don't want to say it again. But I'm going to say it again.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to score 40 fantasy points again.
Well, I told you the San Antonio game, he went 10 of 10 on rebound opportunities. He and Zion both grabbed all 10 rebound chances they had, which is impossible to do consistently. But, again, he was also very efficient rebounding the basketball against the Thunder as well. So if no one else is going to grab the boards and Bey is going to be there, he's going to get them.
I definitely think he's in play. 52, 47, 46. He's on a team with Trey Murphy. He's on a team with Zion Williamson, who has 3 straight 20-point double-doubles. And he plays with Derek Queen, who is a hub. I think Sadiq Bey is a good play. I have him written up in the playbook. And dude, if he goes for 40 again, then I'm never doubting Sadiq Bey ever again.
So yeah, he and Hart are getting the ownership that isn't sort of the guys we've talked about. What are your thoughts on Ace Bailey here at 59? Starting to score the basketball a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they're down two of their best players in use of our offensive players in use of Nurkic and Larry Markkinen. So I have no real objection to Ace Bailey. Utah looks good, dude. Everyone on Utah looks playable. I mean, the minutes are great.
$5,900 guy coming off 40 fantasy points. I don't mind that.
Yeah, like I do think it's interesting his ownership versus Bryce Sensabaugh's.
Yeah, 3% playing Ace Bailey, while 12%, 13% are playing Bryce Sensabaugh here.
$200 difference. I get that Sensabaugh has the better eligibility, right? The shooting guard, small forward, but Ace Bailey's starting
and playing big minutes
for sure, and playing
pick,
30 minutes for sure. Yeah, for sure. So it is a interesting little dynamic there, and that ownership is 100% baked into the positional eligibility, but just an interesting caveat. Anthony, Michael Porter Jr. is out, and Austin Reeves is still listed questionable, but we'll know. It's a 7 p.m. game.
All right, any values down here? That's fine. Jordan Miller, Hauser, Goodwin. I mean, you can't really play Goodwin and Green back, I guess. There is Hunter, but you're worried about maybe a trade. You can play Merrill, Jalen Wells. Any of these plays in this like upper 4K range?
The only one you skip there is probably the guy to play Justin Champagnie at 5K. Yep. I assume he's going to start. He has the last 3 times Chris Middleton has not played, including the Charlotte game. Now, like, it's obviously he actually started the Charlotte and the Denver game, which, as you can see, both worked out like pretty well for Justin Champagnie. I don't think it's like as easy as, well, he's going to go crazy because he's done it the last 2 times Chris Middleton has sat. But he is a good, very, very good rebounder. He is a hustle player, and easily find his way into like 30 fantasy points based on literally just hustle stuff, right? Like he just what he does. He's not his brother in terms of shooting by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Can run into a couple threes. But yeah, I do like Justin Champagnie of that.
Yeah, he was one of the guys I kind of toyed around with his prop today while I was kind of doing some early research, because it was just 9.5 was the point prop for him.
Points.
And he has gone over that the last 2 games that he's been there. So
what about the rebound prop for Champagnie? Because that's
6.5.
That's where he makes his money.
Yeah, 6.5 for him. On the rebounds there, obviously the last games, from a rebound perspective, he hasn't been terrible. The 2 starts that he had, obviously Charlotte, Denver, like you said, 11 and 9. So the rebound chances in those games. Let's see if I can find that there. Hold on. Get the rebound chances in those games. Charlotte, he had 15. Denver, he had 14. So
pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
Not bad. Minus 130 on the 6.5 there. Maybe makes the list today. We'll look a little bit deeper into there. By
the way, you have all the good juju, so please don't let me influence. Don't hear.
I'm not. If the numbers look like the numbers are going to look like that, I'll look at it for sure. Like I said, to me, the board wasn't, again, the usual suspects for me were kind of in tougher spots. So, you got to expand your horizons a little bit. Man had the ownership. He completely played here as well. Was there anything else at small forward?
Yeah, some of the Memphis stuff, specifically Vince Williams and Gigi. I lean Gigi Jackson for a little bit cheaper, but Noel Dama again today. Gigi's minutes have been pretty good. The fantasy points per minute now, John, over right at 1 without Morant, without Edie, and without Santi Aldama. I mean, 3 again. This is why I think Memphis, outside of Jaren, is kind of misrepresented today, because it's such a good spot with like main pieces out for them. I do think Gigi Jackson looks pretty good at 4,200. And same thing for Vince Williams. I think Vince Williams is definitely playable as well. Austin Reeves out, Luka in.
There you go. Wheels up for Luka.
Oh, dude, Luka. I mean, his ownership is going to be like.
Yeah, I lose you. You there? We got a little lag. You good? You're here? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
You were cutting out on me. It could be a my end thing. Who knows? Anything's possible.
I don't look. I'm good, right? Look at these, dude. Look at this.
All right.
Oh, hey.
Well, we'll go to power forward here. Danny Wolf is 50%. He's $4,500. So the rest of this board is kind of all figuring out where you want to go. Nobody's paying. Zion is number 2. He's $7,800, but like no one's penning up for any of the other guys. Paolo's under 10%. LeBron's under 10%. Barnes is under 10% here. So no one's spending up. They're all just kind of living in the mid-range, Zion and under.
Okay. I mean, we knew this was coming for Zion, right?
For sure.
Like we knew the ownership was coming. Steve says it was me, so I guess it's me.
Yeah.
Sorry to everybody out there. It's me. I'll take the blame.
You're the problem.
It's me. Sorry, John.
Okay.
So he just looks. I don't know how many times we have to say it, but I'll just keep saying it. He is too cheap. He is too cheap. Cricket Mobile is acting up as crazy. Shout out to Cricket Mobile.
Are they like America's number 1 5G wireless network carrier? Is that what their commercial always says? Something like that.
I don't know. I honestly, do they still have commercials? Are they still in business? Shout out to Cricket Mobile.
I think so. I don't know.
They outlasted Next.
Did they get bought by somebody? I never know. Those ones always get bought by other companies.
I think Zion is the one player on today's slate where I look at and I'm like, why are you priced the way that you are? Yeah. So even Anthony asking Banchero, Zion, or Towns, the answer for me is definitively Zion. It's chalk that I just am willing to eat. I mean, dude, 33, 33, 34 minutes, right? The only game that Zion hasn't played 30 minutes lately is the game that he left with the illness and then came back from the illness and was like, yeah, let me just 20-point double-double every night. There's no point guard traditionally. That means we can get more Zion facilitation going. Like, he is the best power forward on the board for me. Danny Wolf's ownership we'll get to in a second. Zion is the best power forward on the board.
Sure.
Period. 7,800 is too cheap. It's plug and play for me, and I'm moving on.
Okay.
This backfire. We've seen Zion injured every year, but as long as he's 7,800, I will live and die by that is too cheap, and I'm going to plug and play there. I do think, for the record, John, there is something to be said with Reeves being ruled out, and I don't necessarily subscribe to this. I prefer Luka Doncic. Okay,
sure.
Like, just going to say that up front. There is a case that if you get an average Luka game and Luka gets you 55 fantasy points, well, in that case, LeBron could also get you 55 fantasy points. And then you're cooking with gas because LeBron's going to be 1/20th the ownership that Luka Doncic is tonight.
Yeah.
So I
this
definitely...
is a contrarian play today getting to LeBron.
Yeah, it's just Luka's ownership currently is 20%, right? That is, I don't think we have, it's not. That has not factored in the Austin Reeves.
No, it's going to go up a little bit. Yeah, it's going to go up a little bit.
And that could also push LeBron's ownership up for sure. But I don't think it's going to go up like Luka's goes up. And I just think there is a case if you're playing multiple lineups or you're looking a way to be different or you don't want to play like cheap Brooklyn stuff, right? Because Brooklyn is Brooklyn, or a lot of Brooklyn stuff. And that's how you get off Luka. I do think LeBron is an interesting pivot. Obviously avoiding a Luka Doncic 40% usage rate, almost 2 fantasy points per minute against Washington is tough, but just throwing that out there that I do think it's possible.
Okay. After you get past Zion, Kyle Filipowski from an ownership perspective is 25%. He's down here at $5,800. Thoughts on DeRozan, OG, Murray Boyles. We talked Bay a little bit already. Would you go anywhere else in this mid-range?
Yeah, I mean, dude, DeRozan, you've said it a couple of days in a row, like, we said bad things about him, and he took it
Playing
personally.
40 minutes, man. Like, where did just
No Westbrook, no Sabonis, no Keegan Murray. 40 minutes. He's much better of a price on FanDuel for what it's worth. He's $6,500 over on FanDuel. So I prefer him over there. But he does have a 26.5% usage without those three players. He does average 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So if you do get 40 minutes from DeRozan again tonight, I think he's firmly in play. I think OG is definitely a tournament play. We have seen time and time again OG Anunoby go through stretches where he is completely involved in the offense.
Yep.
He is doing nothing on offense. He is completely involved in the offense. He's doing nothing in the offense. Like, it just does.
It's great tournament play. You pick the right night and you get 55 fantasy points out of it.
100% great tournament play. Also could sync your lineup and you don't have to worry about it. But that is what a tournament play is, right? Like, you are playing him for the ceiling. So, yes, I think DeRozan and OG would be the two guys in that 7 and 6K range after Zion.
Okay, you got Filipowski here again as a guy that's getting the ownership. You mentioned no Nurkic and Mallory, so Filipowski just the natural plug in this spot.
Yeah, and no Caleb.
Yeah,
because they even started Caleb last game. So I think Filipowski looks great. If they don't start him, then that says a lot about him than Utah, right? Like, if they go like Kyle Anderson tonight starting, that says a lot more about how they feel about Kyle Filipowski. If they rule Nurkic and Filipowski out and he can't start, he is the natural plug and play, I think, at this position or in this range at $5,800. You can play him at power forward. You can play him at center. Should start. Good spot. Yeah, nothing bad to say. He actually, with all the guys out, John, he actually leads them in fantasy points per minute this year.
Sure.
More than Keontae. More than anybody else.
There was a show with Keith and I where we're like, Kyle Filipowski just like can't miss, and then he.
Yes, it was the five. Yeah, it was the no Keontae, no Markkanen, no Nurkic game where they had 8 players available.
Yeah, and he didn't come through.
It was the Kyle Anderson game.
Yeah.
It was the Kyle Anderson game.
Before we get to Wolf, is there anybody else that you would talk about? Because he again is almost 50% right now.
Talk Champagny. I think Horford is a great pivot off of Danny Wolf.
Okay.
And is, when you look at the numbers, as good a play as Danny Wolf, probably better. I think it is a little unfair to, like, Al Horford's projection tonight, John, is going to probably come in somewhere at like 22 to 23 minutes would be my guess. Like, if you were to look at projection sites and see where his minutes were put at, it would probably be 23, 24. I projected Al Horford today at 26 minutes because we have the one game in which it was competitive. They gave him 26 minutes. And I think there's probably even a little bit more room for that, more room above that, I should say, especially as the season has gone on and Golden State is in a we need to win and get out of the play-in now, as they try to get Giannis, basically, because that's clearly what's happening. Like, they are going to do their best to end up with Giannis and Antetokounmpo. Without Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga this year, Al Horford has averaged 1.28 fantasy points per minute. Al Horford, in the year 2026, at 55 years old, is averaging nearly 1.3 fantasy points per minute without Butler and Kuminga, and has re-entered the starting lineup.
Sure.
Completely unwashing in front of our eyes.
But you like him against Detroit, though, is the question.
And it's Detroit. It's a tough spot.
Yeah,
it's a brutal spot. But I do think that there's something where, like, you look at Al Horford and then you look at Danny Wolf, who presumably starts tonight, right? We've seen this. And is a good fantasy. I'm not saying he's a bad fantasy player. He is also a rookie that has been very inconsistent throughout the year. I will grant, like, Wolf is a better play.
Sure.
he's just 50%. And like there has been guys out, like Michael Porter has been out. If you look at Danny Wolf's on off with Michael Porter, another guy who takes a drastic hit with Michael Porter off the floor. He's a 1.1 fantasy point per minute player with Michael Porter on the floor. He's under a fantasy point per minute with Michael Porter off the floor. I mentioned this to you about Nick Claxton too. Like it's a long list. The only player over a fantasy point per minute with Michael Porter off the floor is Daron Sharp this year. I'm not saying he can't go crazy in a spot against Utah. Utah's terrible. Like they're the worst defense in the NBA. Anytime you start talking about someone who's like very inconsistent, that's getting 50% ownership, there is a case to find pivots. I think Al Horford would be the pivot for me tonight at this price range. We just saw like Al Horford, tough spot. Detroit is on the second leg of a back-to-back. They gave up 40 to Dillon Brooks last night. They got blitzed by Dillon Brooks and the Suns last night without Devin Booker and Jalen Green. You know, the Pistons have talked about needing to get back to their identity earlier in the year, and that's defense. So, like, I do think that there's something to...
But you like Horford over like a Cardwell with no Sabonis or something like that tonight?
I think Cardwell looks really good. I think Sacramento is a little tricky because there's 3 routes they could go, right? They could go, Achua can get a lot of the minutes. Cardwell can get a lot of minutes. Rayno can get a lot of minutes. 2 of them could get a lot of minutes.
They were giving Cardwell the minutes, though, before Sabonis like re-entered the lineup, though, right?
They were. You said were or were not?
They were, right? They were giving him the minutes before Sabonis re-entered the starting lineup, though, is what we were talking about there.
Well, we also had Precious Achiuwa had a stretch of like 40 minutes in a couple games, right? Sure. Before Sabonis re-entered the lineup. And they still started Precious. So, like, I think that there's a case that can be made. Like, my opinion is they start Rayno because that's what they've done most of the year. Maybe that changes because Cardwell has played better than him. Precious looks good because the minutes. Cardwell looks good because the minutes or the production. Cardwell's a fantasy point per minute. He looks better than Rayno. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of options down here between Wolf, between Cardwell, between Achua, between Horford. I think all 4 of those
down here at 42.
You can play GG, Vince Williams. They're all options down here for sure. Okay. Kyle Anderson at 4K is going to be the backup center.
Yeah,
Kyle Anderson is a good fantasy per minute player, over a fantasy point per minute on the year. So,
would you rather a 4K Kyle Anderson versus Brooklyn or Al Horford versus Detroit? Or $800 cheaper?
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to talk me off the Horford play. You're not going to.
Okay. What's the names that are cheaper than him? That's all. You know.
I would probably play Al Horford, but I think all of them are in play.
All right. We'll go to center then. Joker's 12-5.
Not playing Joker.
Can't play that. Towns 84, then Sarr, Duran, Jaren Jackson Jr. Again, a lot of good guys. Klingon, Zubac. I mean, where do we look to go here?
Yeah, it's a great position. You could always play Towns in a tournament, not like a priority for me, but you can always play him in a tournament. I think Alex Sarr and Jaren Jackson Jr. look the best to me. It's always uncomfortable playing Jaren chalk, to be honest, but the numbers just say play him, right? Without Ja, Edie, Alama. He's a 28%, 1.24 fantasy points per minute. The Pelicans allow a ton of points in the paint. They allow a ton of threes. Jaren can do both of those things pretty well. So he looks great. Alex Sarr, they rolled Bagley out again. I mean,
yeah, we actually just got an ownership update here, and Will Riley is now 26%. Second highest power forward behind Danny Wolf. Higher than Zion now. So just throw that name now as a value play. Deuce McBride just got ruled out for the Knicks as well. I don't know if that changes anything for your Knicks rotation.
Yeah, it probably gives like Shamet more minutes or, someone like that. I mean, Riley makes sense because Trey and Middleton are out, I still think they're going to go Champagny starting, but the Wizards have kind of trimmed down their rotation, right? So I definitely think it's appealing. Riley's a little bit appealing. The ownership is a little interesting there.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of ownership. If Will Riley were to start, that changes the game. That would change my opinion on the ownership. That I wouldn't care really.
Yeah.
With, it's a good spot, but I don't. He hasn't really been a good fantasy player, and there's a lot of power forwards at that price, like or near.
We ran through like 7 of them and didn't even mention his name. So
I don't. TBD on that, right? If he's starting, I guess it's a different conversation. I think Sar and Jaren are definitively better than everyone else at center, or at least like their ceilings. Like Sar only played last night. Also now played 31 minutes or more in 5 straight games, and 3 of them 45 plus fantasy points. Like we're seeing the ceiling. Super high usage player, NBA leader in block shots. Like that's. You never want to assume blocks, but like, you know, there's some players like Dyson Daniel Steele, Victor Wembanyama blocks. Like, there's some things that you can like kind of project. And Alex Sarr leading the NBA in blocks, like a couple blocks is typically something he can do. And plus the upside of blocks, like super solid play. And the Lakers are a mess at center, right? Like they're not playing. We had a DeAndre Ayton comment about killing the Wizards earlier. DeAndre Ayton brother might play 18 minutes. Like, him and Jackson Hayes are splitting time. Drew Timmy's getting time. So
he's the same guy that commented like a few weeks ago about Ayton smashing, and he played like 20 minutes. So
no, but I think Sar and Triple J are the dudes there for me.
Yeah, like I said, like almost any other matchup. I mean, Clingan probably could still get 15 rebounds here, but
yes, he could.
It's just going up against another elite rebounder. Just kind of has me a little bit down on him. I liked Zubac. I mean, I probably should still like Zubac tonight, right? Like even with Jokic back, but $7,300 for him. Jared Allen's no Mobley, and you're getting Mark Williams on a back-to-back, which means you're not getting Mark Williams. So
yeah, you get half of Mark. You
get half of Mark Williams. So Jared Allen 68, Claxton 66. What are your thoughts as we get to this mid-range? Jock Landale's where some of the ownership's going. He's $6,000 here.
Yeah, I think Jared Allen almost 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Didn't pay off his salary last time because they blew the doors off the Lakers, but he was smashing. I mean, 32 fantasy points in 24 minutes, 17 and 9, like was absolutely smashing. So for sure, think Jared Allen's okay. So we just had a Claxton comment. Like this spot is elite. We should see hub Nick Claxton, right? Where he's facilitating a lot of the offense. You never expect more points from Nick Claxton. That's the problem. Like even when Michael Porter's off the floor, he still just like doesn't score a lot. I mean, you never know, but definitely think he's okay. Don't have like I'm not like all in on Claxton. I think he's okay. I like the Landale play. Another one where you don't look at last game. You look at what the numbers tell me. The numbers are a fantasy point per minute guy, 19% usage without Edey, without Aldama, without Morant. The minute should be back around 30 in a competitive game, which, this is expected to be.
He just had this matchup. He played 32 minutes and a 24-11 double-double. So,
yeah. I mean, dude, this game, we just saw it. It was crazy elite. Ayton couldn't smash a banana at this point, says Vic. Probably. DeAndre Ayton famously couldn't get to a game because he
couldn't get a mattress. Couldn't get a mattress.
Got snowed in.
Any thoughts on Keita 57?
My thoughts are that he plays for a psychopath.
Alrighty. Anything else in that center that you play? You like Day'Ron Sharpe tonight at 4,600?
I don't hate Day'Ron Sharpe. He is an insane person when it comes to fantasy points per minute. That is my take. Okay. If you get Nick Claxton foul. If you stumbled into Nick Claxton foul trouble, then you get a prize. So, and the prize is Daron Sharp goes for a bajillion fantasy points. So, I'm good with it. I wrote him up, but for tournaments, again, Reynaud probably starts. I don't know how the minutes are going to be divvied up, but Sabonis has played a lot, or he played a lot and then got in foul trouble. Mitch Robb is definitely in play.
Yep. Again, I do worry a little bit that there's going to be some overlap with Klingon, and maybe the offensive rebounds aren't going to be there for him. But
also like he could just rebound offensively, and Klingon can offensive rebound, and they could just both do it. They could both just like dominate the glass on the offensive.
Well, I'm just saying, like, usually Richard Robinson's getting offensive rebounds because he's just a superior rebounder than the guy he's up against, but that's not necessarily the case in this situation, and vice versa, right? Like, these two guys are just going to be going at each other when they're on the floor together. Now, that may not be a ton of time. You know, you may be up there against Rob Williams or something like that tonight, or whoever the backup is active for Portland. But, you know, I still like him because the price at $4,300 is cheap. So I would go there. Would you look at Iguodala, though, kind of knowing the history of back-to-backs for Phoenix?
No, probably not. Okay. Probably not. I would just play Mitch Robb. I mean, yeah, I'd probably just play Mitch Robb in that scenario. All
right. Anything else?
And they do overlap a little bit. I think that's, and I definitely think that's more possible with McBride out. Like, definitely think McBride is typically the only guy that gets a lot of minutes off the bench anyway.
Yeah.
Him and Mitch Robb. And so, like, some minutes definitely go to Shamet. Kolek probably enters the rotation a little bit. Nothing else. I did misspeak. Well, I just looked at it again. Champagny did come off the bench in that Charlotte game where he played 32 minutes. Him and Jabir Watkins played all the minutes off the bench. Sarr 37, Trey Johnson 36, Bub 32. Will Riley started and only played 23 minutes, so it's not as if. Not saying that if Champagny doesn't play well, that Will Riley wouldn't play more.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that he's getting that ownership. He did start that last game.
All right. Are we starting with the Zion Luka build, or like how are we going about this here?
Yeah, I think Zion looks.
We do Zion Luka, that gives us 5K per play. So
yeah, and that means you're basically not getting
playing Wolf.
You're basically only playing. You cannot play Derek White and Peyton Pritchard in this example. So
no, pretty much
you would probably in this iteration play Pritchard. I'm good with Schroeder, but I do think the Malik Monk thing being back hurts his stock a little bit.
Okay. Well, you do this, you sell 4,800 a player, so you're gonna need another
Simons. Like, I would probably play Simons before I played Schroeder.
Play Simons at 47. And then you just play your Nets value, I guess.
There's value on the board.
All right. Well, again, going a little stars and scrubby because we're jamming in a 12K Luka, pretty much. Luka, Simon, Zion, Wolf, and Pritchard as a core look here for you guys. We appreciate the support each and every day. Grande and I will be back Sunday for the Monday preview show. Good luck this weekend, everybody. We'll catch you later.